What's up guys? In this video we're going to be looking at how to improve your decision making machine. Now as a poker player, your profits, your success in your career is directly correlated to the quality of the decisions you make. You agree with that one, yeah? The quality of decisions will impact your poker career's success or failure. Now when it comes to making good decisions, luckily there's not that many variables. I've come up with 5 variables today that we're going to go through. There might be a few more if you kind of go into subsections, but for the scope of this video, these 5 variables will dictate how well you do as a poker player and the success you have. So should we have a look at those variables and see where your weak links in the system are and how to improve your decision-making machine? Would that be useful? Alright, let's dive in. So when it comes to making good decisions, we need to have a starting point. So where is your starting point for making good decisions? It's knowledge, right? We need a foundation of information to take from. So knowledge is the starting point. Alright, so let's say we've got some good knowledge. Let's just basically say you've got a good technical game for the stakes you're playing. You understand the theory well, you understand the exploitations well, and you've got enough knowledge to beat the games you're playing. I'd say most of you guys watching this video will have enough knowledge to beat the stakes you're playing. If you haven't, you need to reassess your game selection and start to pick better games for yourself. But most players will have at least a good amount of knowledge to beat the stakes they're currently playing. Alright, so awesome, we've got good knowledge. Job done, right? Can we just go home now? Oh no, wait a second, there's some more variables. So, we've got the knowledge, how do we tap into that knowledge? How do we get that knowledge and use it in game? We need a process, right? We need a process to use that knowledge. And this is going to be a combination of both logic and reason, and your intuition and feel. If you're more a GTO player, you're going to lean heavily on your logic. If you're more of an exploitation player, you might lean more heavily on your intuition. There's no better or worse. I know there's arguments of GTO versus exploitation, which one's a better model. It very much fits, it suits what your kind of learning style is and how your brain functions. But the process is going to be a combination of your logic and intuition. Alright, so we've got the logic and intuition. If these are going to be addition, so if you add your logical abilities and your intuition abilities, you're going to have the process. Now, like I said, some of you guys are going to lean heavily on one or the other, maybe logic, maybe intuition, and that's going to be the fundamentals of your process. So let's say we've got great knowledge. We understand the game really well, we've got a good technical ability for our games, and we've got a really good decision-making process. We understand how to calculate all the variables, we know how to prioritize the scaling of events, we know how to not let cognitive biases come into the process, and we really make good decisions for the most part. What can go wrong? That's job done. Can't be anything else. So we'll class this as the technical. This is pretty much the technical summed up. Now most of you guys watching this video will have room for improvement in the technical area, for sure, like almost 100%. But I'm going to argue that it's not going to be your weakest link. It's not going to be your weakest link. So like I said, you've probably got the knowledge to beat the stakes you're playing. If you're a professional player and you're playing full time, that's almost a given. You've probably come up with a good process for making good decisions most of the time, especially like out of the pressure scenario of playing poker. So then we need to go to what other variables can impact your performance heavily. All right. So in the decision-making machine, next variable is focus. All right. Focus. If your focus is low, no matter how good of a player you are, no matter how much knowledge you've got, you're not going to be able to tap into all those resources. All right. So high levels of focus allow you to get into the zone, is the ultimate, where you're in that flow-like state. You're going to be able to use your knowledge to the highest of your ability. Focus low, you're going to miss variables. You're going to miss information. You're not going to process information in the right way. So no matter how good you are, if this one's lacking, you're going to have a suboptimal performance, and your decision making will suffer every time your focus drops. All right. So let's say you've taken care of your focus. Let's say knowledge is good, you've got a great decision-making process, and you're highly focused. That's it. Surely there's nothing else. There's one more variable that impacts every single decision you make. And that is your emotional state. Your emotional state. Your emotional state completely impacts every decision you make. And you might ask, why is that? The reason is the emotional center is lower in the brain. Like it's deeper into the brain. And for your logic to function, for the cognitive function of your brain to make decisions, it's got to go through the emotional center. So everything else gets filtered through your emotional lens. So if you feel angry, the logical part of your brain has to go through that anger filter. And it's been shown, no surprise, that positive emotional states perform way better cognitively than negative states. So obviously, as poker players, you're very aware of the extreme ends of the scale of tilt, anger, rage, but you might not be aware of the more subtle ones like frustration, just boredom, where you're just not really in a good emotional state, and it's impacting every single decision. It involves a decision-making machine, okay? So the way to look at this, that players make, like a lot of people just don't give mindset its due place in their learning repertoire, is because they don't realize that the decision-making machine is a multiplication model. All right, so I'll show you what that means in a second. So we've got, this is mindset. And a multiplication model means that the weakest link, your system basically, is only as strong as your weakest link. All right, so let me show you why. So let's see about your knowledge. It's a multiplication model. So we've got your knowledge multiplied by the process. So let's say this is 9 out of 10. Let's say your process is 8 out of 10. This is the combination. That's then multiplied by your focus, which is then multiplied by your emotional state. Now, there's a theory that is, oh, it's not a theory, it's a proven model, that it's called the it's called the multiplication by zero model. So any number, no matter how good it is, if it gets multiplied by zero or a lower number, it becomes zero or a low number. So, as a poker player, if you've got amazing knowledge, good decision-making process, but either of these variables breaks down at any moment, your performance drops off a cliff. It drops off a cliff, right? So if this becomes zero, your emotional state is like super, super low, everything gets affected. And this is what players really struggle to conceptualize. They think this emotional state they think it's an additional model. So additional models mean that you add the numbers together. So if one weak link is in an additional model, it doesn't make that much of a difference. If you've got bad focus or bad emotional control, and this was your decision-making process worked via additions, meaning things don't interact with each other, then you would be fine. But because your focus and emotional control are multipliers and they interact with the whole model, if either of those is slacking, very, very good chance your performance, well, 100% chance your performance is going to suffer. So the reason I say mindset is the most important investment is because most players, most professional poker players who are playing poker for a living have the knowledge and they're playing the right games for their skill level, or they're in and around those the right games. They've got a good logic and intuition, so they've got a good decision-making process, but these things break down because they're not focused and they're not in control of their emotions. So these things break down the whole system. You need to be aware of this, because if these are ones and twos, or even at any point they go to 1 to 2s, you can study all day long in solvers. You can have a great decision-making process. You can be super, super clever. You can know poker down, everything about poker, but you're not gonna be able to access that performance at the highest level until you've got everything working. So it often gets asked, like, what should you work on your strengths or should you work on your weaknesses? And when you're in a multiplication model like this, like a decision-making machine, you need to make sure you haven't got any weak links. Any weak links compound the whole thing. So like I said before, in system management, they say a system is only as strong as its weakest component. So you have one weak link, one weak bolt in a chain, it breaks the whole thing. All right? So for you guys, a lot of your weak links, broken chains, are one of these two: focus or emotional state. And they're generally, like, they're all intertwined, but when your emotional state goes, your focus goes. So have a little think about this. Hopefully this has stemmed your brain to think about where is your weak link. Because what happens is most players, they just try and max out this one. They try and max out the knowledge. Learn more, watch more videos, do more stuff, study more courses, learn more. And it's good. Obviously you need to go on a progression and keep learning. But if these are really low, or even like 5s and 6s, you're going to get much more benefit from working on your mindset. That's going to up your return on investment is going to be much higher from that. So trying to get your knowledge to a 10 out of 10 when your emotional state and focus are like 4s and 5s, or even 6s, you need to put work in there. So hopefully this draws a magnifying glass on this for you guys. I've never done this model before, so I just went through it and thought I would highlight why I think mindset is so important, and the mistakes I see players making by not giving their mindset as much attention. So hope this has motivated you to work on the variables that are weak. Let me know in the comments below which of the we'll call it 4 variables. This can be called process as one. Let me know in the comments with one word: knowledge, process, focus, or emotional state. Which one lets you down the most frequently when it comes to making the best decisions. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, there's a free quiz for you in the description telling you what level your poker mindset is right now. Also, don't forget to smash that like button before you leave so that the algorithm likes you and sends you more of my video recommendations. Thanks for watching. Plenty more coming from me very soon.